Jenny and Jeremy, breaking the ice, breaking the ice, breaking the ice. Jenny and Jeremy, breaking the ice, breaking the ice.
There are so many fantastic apps out there now, so you can download one of those to your phone and it'll remind you throughout the day to just stop and take a minute. You can just put reminders in your phone, but my favorite thing of all, and I think the most effective, is a trigger. And what I mean by a trigger is take an action that you're going to do every day anyway. It's part of normal life, and associate that action with reminding you to stop and take 2 minutes. For instance, when I make coffee, when I press the on button of the coffee maker, that is a trigger. That reminds me to stop for 2 minutes. The best one all year round, but definitely for this time of year, when I get where I'm going, park my car, when I take the keys out of the ignition, that's a trigger. That tells me, don't you get out of this car until you stop for 2 minutes and breathe. Just breathe. Balance your breath. Get centered, and then go about your day. When you get to the office to work in the morning, if you do this before you even go in, it's fantastic. But it is super good with cheese when you get to the mall and you got to go in and do holiday shopping, because nobody wants to do that.
It's hard. I mean, it's really hard to get mindfulness in, especially when you're busy and crazy, but you know what? That's when you need it the most. I can't admit that I am meditating consistently and all that good stuff, but you know, during crazy situations, what I have found really helps is to close my eyes just for a hot second and take 3 deep breaths, and it makes a huge difference. And I mean like really deep breaths, like in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, like slow. But it really just takes less than 30 seconds to do the whole thing, and it makes a huge impact on my day. It slows me down. I do yoga 3 to 4 days a week, so that is something that I consider an act of mindfulness, because when I don't have my hot yoga, ask my boyfriend, you don't want to be around me.
Well, it's not so much the busyness of the holidays, it's the sugar. And I could really use some help with that. You know, I'm kind of an all or nothing type of person. So that's why I'm reading this book called Mindful Eating by Andy Puttycombe of Headspace, and I'll let you know how it goes at the end of the holidays. But on a more serious note, as far as mindfulness through the holidays and other seasons, I'm very aware, just in my personal life, of wanting to be present with my family. I have little kids, and I realize they're going to grow up fast, and I want to be present in even the crazy moments, because all of those moments together are the only ones that I get with them. So every moment is precious, even the crazy ones.
Emotional intelligence in a customer support role is really, really important. I mean, I think it's the most important thing. All day long, you're dealing with people and emotions and situations that are not always ideal. And a person with a high EQ is going to, number one, be able to keep their own emotions in check. They're not going to let an angry customer get them angry or flustered. They're also really good at reading other people. They understand when they're talking to someone that anger isn't always anger. Sometimes anger is fear. Sometimes it's something else. And when you can decipher that in a person, you can usually come up with a faster, better solution. And that just means a happier customer. The other thing about people with a high EQ, they're motivated by outcome and they're motivated by results. So they just inherently, genuinely want to help other people. And who doesn't want that person on their team? I mean, really, if you think about it, emotional intelligence in the customer service world, it's a superpower. I mean, it really is. And I think moving forward, we should all be wearing capes. Yeah, capes. I want mine to be purple.
When it comes to emotional intelligence in the workplace, I think the biggest thing is for the customer service agents. And I know for myself, it's really that you take that time to recognize your emotions. You know if you're anxious or you're getting frustrated, and you don't want to be reactive and say something that could hurt the customer, that could hurt your career, and you don't want to mess anything up by overreacting. So emotional intelligence, when that training happens for agents, it really helps them tune in, understand what they're feeling, and it makes a huge difference. It may not solve all the problems, but it makes a huge difference as a customer service agent when you're dealing with people that are not so happy all the time.
Emotional intelligence is all about learning about your amygdala, and it's this part in your brain somewhere in your head that triggers the fight or flight response. And it was really useful for human beings when they were running away from sharks and land sharks and lions and other things that could threaten their life. Well, that same response gets triggered when we get an angry customer on the phone, or our kids make us angry, or our dog pees on the carpet. Maybe not that last one, but you get it. So it's all about learning that when you feel that trigger happen, like if a customer is yelling at you, to recognize that mentally and not react, but recognize that it's just a response of your amygdala. When I began to realize that, I handled escalated calls from customers a whole lot different. I was able to think logically about my response rather than reacting emotionally. So it's a huge thing that all customer service people need to understand.